Roadblocks are self-imposed based on judgment from other people. The quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. I'm most calm when there's the most chaos because I go into a place in my mind of like, what's the worst that can happen?
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like nah, 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 nah. For my top 10, top 10, nah, nah, nah. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Remove the roadblocks.
Roadblocks are self-imposed based on judgment from other people. Think about, you know what? This is a perfect analogy. Think about how many times you guys get banged up on plays during games that so many people would take themselves out and not play at all. Oh, hit it. That, you know, when you get banged, like, football's crazy. You guys are getting banged up on every play. And think about the tolerance. You guys all know everything. You know the kid in this room who gets chipped up a little bit and is out. And you know the person that's on this team right now, they'll break their back and play. But for normal people like me, I'm like, every play would get me out. That's how I was as an entrepreneur. The shit that I think people think of Roadblocks. Do you know what it feels like to be 26 years old, have people that you went to high school with come to your liquor store, look you dead in the face as they pulled up in their BMW and say, oh, you work for your dad? And then you ring them up on their case of champagne that they're gonna use for their party, and you bring it out to their car and put it in their trunk, and they look you in the face with pity. I lived that life. And the way I took that scene was, I'll see you in 10 years.
Rule number 2, be willing to work.
I was a DNF student. I sucked at school. I actually was so bad at school that I had my admin, my assistant reach out to my high school and get a copy of my report card so I could put it on Instagram the other day, because people are confused what success looks like or how you get there. Doesn't mean that you should look at me and not do school. It means that you need to look at yourself and figure out who you are. What are you good at? What do you like? How are you gonna get to the place that you wanna get to? And so for me, I got 4 A's in high school my entire career, all in gym, right? Like, I got a D in yearbook. And so to me, there's just 1,000 paths out there. And so for me, I'm curious about one by one, for the 30 people in this room, where's their mindset? Where are they at? Who are they listening to? What are they judging their self-worth and their ambition based on? How are they counting the points? Because when you're a youngster, you're looking at all sorts of different things. You're being affected by all sorts of different voices. And for me, the only thing that worked, even though I was getting D's and F's and all my friends' parents told me I was a loser, even though all my teachers told me I wasn't gonna be anything, even though I didn't have stuff, even though I just was in my own head. I knew exactly who I was. But the thing that I was willing to do was I was willing to work. And the thing that my parents taught me was not to dwell, not to cry about it. I didn't have shit. When I rolled up on my mom when I was 9, when Nintendo was popping, because when it first broke, I was like, Mom, I need Nintendo. She's like, good, go get it. And so I shoveled snow and I ripped people's flowers out of their yard and sold it back to them, which is my favorite one.
Rule number 3, quantify.
I think, again, what I'm really trying to establish in this talk this morning is, I don't think people have quantified the opportunity. I struggle, regardless of circumstance, with people dwelling or complaining in a world where the internet is free, has no idea who you are, could care less, it's right there, and it becomes a game of skill, not necessarily finances, to actually win. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me that you can be in the retail business overnight by setting up a Shopify account, which costs nothing, when that same action to sell something 30 years ago meant that you had to sign a lease and build out a store and rely on the local traffic that walked by. It scares me and excites me that the biggest music company in the world, Spotify, was built in Sweden by a kid. And on and on and on, and you've heard every story. But more importantly, for every ridiculous story we've seen of Instagram or Facebook or Uber or Spotify, there are hundreds of thousands of stories of people with wins that are micro versions. I actually think the most unhealthy thing in entrepreneurship and opportunity is the big stories that everybody thinks they have to build $1 billion company. I think we do not talk enough about the practical $150,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $700,000 a year business that you genuinely love what you do and you can live your life being happy and financially sound, and what the cost of entry to be able to do that is in today's environment, which once again, let me say very slow, between putting out a media company, if you decide to put that on a WordPress or a Squarespace, a retail company, on the back of a Shopify, you could start a radio show that is global on the back of just uploading something you record on your memos on your phone and upload onto Spotify and Apple and SoundCloud. My friends, distribution is free. I know it's a nerdy thing, like it's not like some big profound statement, but let me say it nice and slow. Distribution is free. It used to cost a fortune. Now what you put inside of it is the variable of your success, not your financial capabilities to create the distribution. You have to, like, I wish we could zoom in. I literally have goosebumps on my neck right now. No, but really, I really do. It's like a very, I will live my last breath trying to get people to understand this is remarkable. This is a game of perspective. Are you educated or capable of seeing it from the lens that I'm speaking about today, which is the barrier to reach the end person, whether you're a financial advisor and trying to get to a client, whether you sell bow ties, whether you want to be, how about the fact if you want to be a professional football player and now there's all these websites where you can upload your film because the scout didn't come to your tiny, tiny town and now you actually can be discovered. Like, everything has changed. My question and my dream every time I speak is, can I get one person in this room to get their piece?
Rule number 4, be patient.
I think one of the most important words for me to communicate in this talk today by far is patience. I promise you, no matter what you're doing in this room, and especially as I look around this room, first of all, everyone's uncomfortably attractive, and number two, but more importantly, this is quite a young audience. And I think the reality is the thing that I spend most of my time on is trying to get people to understand that patience is a very important variable of success. And more importantly, that I believe the far majority of people in this room do not have a great relationship with time. I am fascinated by people in this room who are stressed at the ages of 18 and 22 and 25 and 29, like they're running out of time. How many people by show of hands are under 30 years old? So for me, as you can imagine, when I see all those hands go up, you can put your hand down. Yeah, you're good, okay, good. When I see all those hands go up, and I know in my mind with the way that modern medicine and technology is going, that the far majority of this room is gonna live for another 80 years, it really gets me excited / concerned when people want their business to be huge next year. The quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. The quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. And what has been very fascinating for me is, even though on YouTube and Instagram and maybe some of the places you guys see me, maybe my energy is high, maybe my style of communication is fast, but my business actions are extremely slow.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, I've created a special free program called 254 because the science says that it takes up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So what I'm going to do is send you an unlisted video to your email every day for 254 days for free to help your confidence and self-belief shift forward. The link to join is in the description below.
I really think mindset is everything, and so you've got to really decide, are you going to be positive about things or negative about things? Seek out your friend's friend who brings positive vibes and make them part of your world, and cut out your homie from college that thinks the world sucks. Watch what that addition and subtraction does to your life. You don't just sit in your room hoping and then something lucky happens. Nobody just knocks on your house's door and says, congratulations, you've been awarded this. Luck comes from being in the right spot.
Rule number 5, drown the noise.
I highly recommend you get your head into a place where you just go on the offense, straight offense, because you have the options. You have the options. And so I think it's the greatest time to be alive. The internet is still new. There's still so much to take. You could absolutely grab it. It could be yours. It's just about going into a different place in your mind and getting real quiet. Thing that got me through is everything got quiet. Everything became Charlie Brown. All those teachers, all those parents, all those people telling me I couldn't, or I wasn't, or I was losing, I just drowned them out. And so that would be my recommendation. Drown out the noise and get real focused on the opportunity.
Rule number 6, put in perspective.
The way I deal with chaos and the way that I would deal in chaos if I was a upper middle leader in this team right now is realizing what's the alternative. You're in control. The reason chaos is easy for me is I know I'm in control. When a tornado or a hurricane or a virus or sales drop breaks out, I'm in control. Coronavirus, China sales are down, we're in control. We get to sit in a room and say, what are we gonna do? I love chaos. Like, if Mike Tyson's running at me and I'm a boxer, that chaos, this is why Holyfield beat him. You're in control. Yeah, it's not fun or scary or whatever, but you can duck. I'm most calm when there's the most chaos because I go into a place in my mind of like, what's the worst that can happen? What, am I gonna die? Oh no? Then business? Who gives a crap? Put it in perspective. Put it in perspective. Stop being scared.
Rule number 7, have compassion.
You wanna win in 2021? Be nicer. You wanna win in 2021? Have more compassion. You wanna lead in 2021? Lead with this, not with what your head thinks your wallet is gonna benefit from. And I know that I'm sounding fluffy and but let there be no confusion. I'm an assassin when it comes to business. You may be hearing fluffy things, but let me get real close to the camera here, my friends. I'm trying to win the whole thing. I'm trying to be the greatest entrepreneur of all time. I believe that kindness, compassion, empathy, sympathy, first for your employees, then for your customers, and then you can think about yourself, is not Mother Teresa stuff. It's not Gandhi, Nelson Mandela stuff. I believe that it is sheerly and obviously the foundation of successful business in today's transparent universe. Your meanness that you think is motivating, it can't be hidden the way it used to be. And so I want people to lead with optimism, kindness, and all these kind of soft skills because I think they're the emerging superpowers of business. And I think a lot of you should really be paying attention to it.
Rule number 8, do what you love.
We do not have the proper context around entrepreneurship. Until we start understanding the level of talent involved in it, we will always undermine how difficult it is because we think it's a process. And that doesn't mean, again, this is why underlining that, we have to contextualize how awesome it is. We have to start putting on a pedestal, starting a direct-to-consumer, jam business on Shopify where you make $183,000 a year because you love making jam because you and your grandma made it, and like that being a massive success because you're happy as shit, and you can live your lifestyle and you live under the means of $183,000 a year. We have to put that on a pedestal. That is when entrepreneurship can hit its golden era.
Rule number 9, be optimistic.
You've got two choices every day of your life. You're either optimistic or you're pessimistic. You're either seeing what's good or you're seeing what's bad. my whole life, even when I was like in a very different place, I would always just say 7 billion people. Now it's 7.7 billion people. Where do I rank? For all the shit that I got, for all the negativity, where do I rank? Am I better than the person that's terminally ill, that has a lot of money, that's gonna die in a month? Yep. Am I better than somebody who's living in a cage in parts of the world that we don't even wanna look at? Yep. And so, to me, this is a mindset game.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is persist.
If you try to figure out how to bring value to somebody and you persevere, like I really do think there's a play here. And honestly, to be very frank, I think Josh built a really meaningful business. I'm not in a mindset of investing now. I'd rather buy sports cards than invest in companies. But even though it wasn't like a perfect execution for me of like, I'm getting this value, then let me have him on the podcast. It was so important for me to have an actual human manifestation of the thing that I want all of you to do out there, which is like, look, if you want to be a rapper, a producer for rap, like go ask 47,000 times Metro Boomin, Sunny Digital, like Murder Beat, like just ask, ask now. Yeah. If you know how to ask with grace, it's going to work better. If you know how to reverse engineer the person of what they care about at this moment, like if somebody has a new album coming out and they're your favorite rapper, Young Nudie has an album out today. If Nudie's your guy, like you could have made 25 pieces of content if you're that person and sent it DM to him to help him post on his social channels because everybody needs more content. And then that might have been the reason you got the job.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. When you watch a video and you just get motivated, the sign says you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That's not good enough, Believe Nation. We gotta take action. But when you get motivated and then you create a specific plan of action for when and how you're gonna do it, your number jumps from 35% to 91% chance of following through. And when you commit to somebody else, like posting down here in the comments below, that number jumps to 95%. I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so you can follow through and I can celebrate you.
Here's a really, really important piece of advice that I think will bring you value. Please don't stay quiet because you know it doesn't matter and you know it won't play well in the room. Now that doesn't mean be like me and be super combative. It means be respectful. But let me give you one humongous piece of advice. The world's gonna change. Animatics are the stupidest shit of all time. Ipsos is the stupidest shit of all time. It can't sustain itself and it will break and it's getting closer than you think. So it's important for you to share your actual points of view in these rooms because people are watching. And right now you may be frowned upon or it's silly or it's naivete or it's a kid talking, but everybody's watching and listening. And in 3 years, when that person's fired and goes to a new place and they have to win in digital, they're gonna be like, hey, she knew. And so die on your sword. A lot of you are staying quiet because you know it'll help you grow, but you guys are agreeing to things you don't actually believe in. You're doing it because within the 4 walls you work in, that's what you know the rules are. It seems like it makes sense. The problem is we're at a point of transition. And what always happens at a point of transition is you guys are in a very peculiar spot. You're the last of the Mohicans. So you're gonna uphold the past because it's gonna play in the room, but you're also gonna live through a career where it's going to be frowned upon. When you apply to the progressive places, they're gonna wanna know where you sit on this. What did you do about it? We're gonna talk to the clients or the other people. Like, if you don't have a track record of at least communicating your points of view, you're definitely not gonna have work. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for $20 a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
If you want to learn how to market on social media like Gary Vee, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.